Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Drowning Pool discography ranking. Now I know what you're thinking, where's the Iron Maiden discography ranking? That's coming soon. I didn't realize it was going to take so long to binge the whole catalog again. I probably should have figured that, but I'm almost done. I've made my way up to the last time I listened to was The World Needs a Hero. That's like the last one I remember, or maybe it was Dance of Death? That might have been it. Yeah, I think that was it, actually. Somewhere in there. But anyways, I'm going to be doing that really soon. It won't take forever. But today, I'm going to be doing a Drowning Pool discography ranking just because I'm very familiar with the Drowning Pool albums. I did re-listen to all of them. It didn't take very long. They're not very long albums. They're not... I don't really think there's really like a long album in there. They're all kind of short. They're like 30 to 40, 50, maybe 30 to 50 minutes, most of them. Not very long. The discography is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 albums. So I'm gonna take you through my least favorite to my favorite. Of course, we're talking about Drowning Pool, the new metal band, who then went to like this alternative thing, and then, well, yeah, they're mostly alternative now. I consider them like alt metal, you know. They're very underrated. I don't really hear many people talk about Drowning Pool other than like Bodies, but they're very underrated. Like, the only era that is highly rated is the Dave Williams era, which is the original frontman of the band who passed away in 2002 from heart disease. That era of the band is what, when people say Drowning Pool, that's usually the era they're talking about. Of course, you can find people who talk about the Jason Jones era of the band, and that's the second album. Then, of course, you get the Ryan McCombs era, which is the dude from Soil, which is another metal band, which was a new metal band that went to alternative, and they put out cover albums. I cannot speak. A cover album out last year, and it was like the most underwhelming thing I've ever listened to by them. That was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. I like Soil, you know, but that cover album was not very good at all. So, you know, we got the Ryan McCombs era of the band, which he did 2 albums with the band. Then you got the most recent era of the band, which is the Jason Moreno era, and they've got 3 albums out with him. So I'm just gonna take you through all these. I don't dislike any of these. I think they're all really good albums. You know, I don't think any of them are bad. But you know, gotta rank them somehow. So coming in with like my 7th place, I guess you could say my least favorite Drowning Pool album, Resilience. That's what I'm gonna go with. You know, I like this album. I think some songs really work for it, but I just find that Jason Moreno's vocals in the first like 2 albums he did, they are nothing compared to his vocals in their last album they put out last year. His vocals in that last album were like really, really, really good. But then when I re-listened to this album, I re-listened to the next album, which we'll talk about, and I just felt that his vocals, I got it. Like, I knew what he was trying to like go for in his vocals. It's just, I think they're kind of hit or miss in a few places. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they're bad in any way. I'm just kind of saying, like, I prefer how he changed like his vocal style up a bit. I think he's improved in every single release they've done, with this one being like my least favorite, but it's still a really good album. I think I don't know if you're understanding what I'm trying to say here, but his vocals have drastically improved from this album to the next album to the next album. That's basically what I'm getting at. And, you know, I like this album, but if you're comparing the track listing from this album to the other ones, yeah, this is my least favorite one. I think it's a good album on its own merit, but when you stack it up against the rest of them, this one's my least favorite. You got some really cool songs on here, though. You got Die For Nothing, One Finger in a Fist, Digging These Holes, Saturday Night, Life of Misery, Broken Again, Bleed With You, In Memory Of, which of course is dedicated to the original frontman, and to Dime of Pantera. And I think there was someone else in there that I'm forgetting. Let me see. Hold on, I'm on Wikipedia right now. Let me see. It might say. It is dedicated to Dave. It's dedicated to Dave. That's the main person. It's dedicated to Dave Williams. But I'm pretty sure I read somewhere else that it was also dedicated to Dime from Pantera. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I think I've read that somewhere. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good album. You know, Resilience is a pretty good album. It's just my least favorite of the bunch. I think it's their weakest, if you ask me. But I think it's still good. It's a good album if you listen to it. I don't think it's bad by any means. Alright, so that brings us to my number 6, which is Hallelujah from 2016. This album is just, wow, it's heavy. You know, they advertised this thing as like the heaviest Drowning Pool album since Sinner, and They weren't lying about that. This thing is heavy, and I mean like heavy, heavy. You know, I think this is even heavier than Sitter in some ways, but man, what an album! I love this album. I think it's really good, and it's, you know, I know I put it like at number 6, but I just had to rank the albums. You know, I think these could change, and if you ask me like in a few months, I think some of these albums could switch around. But in this case, for right now, this album's gonna come in at number 6, and it was really, really good. It's heavy. It's really heavy. It's like, you can see like it's got a groove metal thing going on too. I like the grooviness of the album. You know, it's really heavy, but it's got that groove to it. You know, it's kind of like Pantera. It's got that like groove element to like the guitar riffs and everything, and the solos. And you know, it's happy too. It's like, I know people have called Johnny Poll this, but they're happy metal, and I actually like happy metal. I don't think that's a bad thing by any means, but I like how aggressive the songs are, but they're catchy, and they've got like a grooviness to them. I like that about them. You know, you got Push, By the Blood, Drop. I think By the Blood's probably my favorite song off here, even if the verse vocals are kind of weak, or no, the chorus, I'm sorry, the chorus are kind of weak, just with like the blood on your shirt, like, I can't take that seriously, you know. You get me into that with like that chorus at first, I'm like, yeah, then he says By the Blood on your shirt, and I'm just like, bruh, what happened? You know, but Drop, you know, Hell to Pay, we are the Devil's kind of too repetitive for my liking. I do like Snake Charmer though. Symphony Depleted, Stomping Ground, Meet the Bullet, All Saints Day, kind of same thing. I think that one's a little too repetitive. I think that could have been shortened a little bit, but other than that, you know, really good album. Really good album. I like this album. Alright, and then that brings me to number 5, which is Strike a Nerve. I did not expect to like this album so much, but it's really, really, really good. I'm going to say that a lot with these, but this album right here, I think, is the strongest of the Jason Moreno era. I think his vocals have improved so much from those last 2 albums to this one, and it's just so good, you know what I mean? And I don't think there's one track on here that I actually, like, dislike. I just think they're all really solid tracks. Well, not solid, but, like, great tracks, you know? I think, let's see here, I think I'm gonna go with the title track as my favorite, or Racing to a Red Light. Either the title track or Racing to a Red Light. And this is the heaviest Drowning Pool album, if you ask me. This is the heaviest they've ever been, and it just sounds amazing, you know? And, wow. I really did not expect to like this album so much. You know, I heard there was a new Drowning Pool album coming out last year, and I was like, oh, you know, that's pretty cool, you know? Wasn't too crazy about the last 2. I mean, I thought they were good, but I wasn't, like, over the top, you know, excited listening to them. But then I heard this thing, and it just blew my mind, you know? Because I did not expect it to be this good. So, all of these songs on here, you know, Doing Time in Hell, Hate Against Hate, Stay and Bleed, title track, Racing to a Red Light, Choke, Down in the Dirt, Rope, Mind Right. I mean, it don't get better than that. Well, it does, but in terms of the Jason Moreno era, this is their strongest with him, and I can't wait for the next album. I hope it's even more heavier, you know? It's just the heaviest thing they've done after that album, of course, but, yeah, was really sucked with that one. Okay, so then that brings me to my, let's see, 765. We're on number 4 now. Number 4. Okay, this one's kind of, if you would have asked me this when I first started listening to Drowning Pool, I would have told you this was my favorite. But, you know, after re-listening to this album, I still like it. But it's just, you know, with me, there are certain tracks on here that I like. And then I think there are some tracks on here that just kind of, And I'm going to go with the debut. I think the debut has its moments. You know, it's the only one that went platinum. I think it has its moments. I'm not saying it's bad by any means. But I'm just saying there are a few tracks on here that I think are kind of weak, stacked up against the other ones. And I just think there are a lot of these that just focus way too heavily on the chorus. And, you know, they're not really, like, I guess, made longer, I guess? Maybe more substance, but, you know, I just think, I don't know how to put this, I'm trying to put this into words where people could actually understand what I'm trying to say, but I just feel like the songs are too short, and they focus too much on the chorus, and the verse vocals are weaker compared to the choruses. Like, the choruses are strong on here, but the verse vocals are kind of if you ask me. And I don't really see that being a problem in the latter, well, the next albums I'm gonna rank, but in this one, it's kind of, I feel kind of like that, you know. So I don't really like the title track much anymore. I used to like it a lot, but now I'm just kind of, it's okay. Bodies, I can still jam to Bodies. Tear Away is pretty good. I like Tear Away. All Over Me's good. Reminded, Pity. Mute is alright. It's not one of my favorites. I Am is incredibly catchy, though. I love I Am. Follow, that one's okay. Told You So, though, but I think after Reminded is the best song off this album. And then you get Sermon, which I just really felt that Sermon, it didn't really flow with the rest of the album. I think the other song, actually, you know what, it kind of does, because it goes from being fast, kind of slow, back to being fast, and then slow. So I think Sermon actually does work for this album, but yeah, I mean, it's still a really good album, but I just like the track listing of the next album I'm going to talk about more than this one. And like I said, I just think there's too much emphasis on the choruses and not really much of the verse vocals. I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I just feel like the reason I remember these songs so well is just because of the choruses, not really the verse vocals. So I don't know if that's just a me thing or not, but that's how I feel, at least. So that's number 4. Okay, so number 3. Or was that number 3? Wait, I've lost track here. Hold on a second. No, I was right. That is number 4. Okay, so number 3, Desensitized, which is the second album they made. This one I feel is stronger than Sinner. I know some people might not feel that way, but for me anyways, I think this is a stronger album than Sinner. I love all the tracks off here. I don't really think there's a weak one in there. You got Think, Step Up, that was a huge hit for the band. Numb, This Life, Nothingness, Bringing Me Down, Love and More, Forget, Cast Me Aside, Killing Me, Hate. I think those are all really good songs, and I know I've been saying that a lot, but I mean, you gotta describe the song somehow, and I think all these are great, so, you know. And Drowning Pool has like that distinct like Drowning Pool tone, you know? And it's, I don't really know if it's like distinguishable, but, well, actually I do think it's distinguishable because I don't really know of a band who has their guitars like that. Or, let me think, maybe, you know what, I can't tell if it's Drowning Pool, just, yeah, never mind, I changed my mind. I can distinguish the Drowning Pool's tone. They've got a unique sound to them, and, you know, well, now they do. I think now they do. They've because in the first one they're trying to find their sound, you know, they've got one, they're kind of like working with it. I really wish they could have done another album with Dave Williams, but yeah, I mean, that would, if they had a second album with Dave Williams, I'd probably say that was my favorite. But this one right here, you know, Drowning Pool does have a distinct sound. I don't know what I was talking about earlier, but they do have a distinct sound. I don't know, well, I kind of like zoned out there for a second, but yeah, Drowning Pool has a unique sound. So, I've named all the songs off here. My favorite one, probably, I would go with Numb, actually. Numb is a really underrated track. It's kind of a deep cut for the band, and I like that song. That's probably my favorite one. But I just think this is a stronger album than Sinner. I think it flows better too. Well, Sinner flowed pretty well too, but this one right here, I mean, this is just, it's heavy. I don't know if it's heavier than Sinner per se, because Dave was good at shrieking, and Jason Jones, as good of his vocalist as he is, he can't shriek like Dave could, you know? And I think Dave, even though his album, I ranked it like below this one, Dave was probably the best vocalist. Like, if you're looking at all their flaws and like their cons and their pros, and you're looking at like what Dave could do with his voice versus all the other vocalists in the band, Dave, I think, had the widest vocal range, you know, because he could shriek, you know, and he had like that shriek where you'd be like, whoa, you know. But the rest of them, they all kind of sing in like this really like deep, growly voice, and Dave could do that, but he also could sing melodically, and I think that's why, even though, you know, I just really wish they would have like played with that more. And kind of like went from being like growly deep vocals and also do some like melodic stuff, like mix it together, you know? But I think that's a strong point of like Dave being the vocalist. You can kind of do that thing, but with the rest of the vocalists, I find that they all just kind of stay in this like this deep, growly voice the whole time, and that's okay. Now Ryan McCombs, on the other hand, we'll talk about that later. But Ryan McCombs is probably my second favorite vocalist for Drowning Pool, but Dave Williams would be my first. But it's just the album that they made with him. And they actually did some demos. It's like in a deluxe thing. But there are some demos with Dave on them. And those things are just like... What were these songs on the album? Because those things are amazing. You know? I love those demo tracks. You have like the extended version of Sermon. That thing is chilling. Like, go listen to that. That gave me chills the very first time I listened to that. That was really haunting. But where were those songs on the album? You know, I think that those songs had made the album. Sinner would be placed higher on this list. But as it stands, you know, Sinner's behind this album right here, which is Desensitized. And Desensitized, really good album. And I think that, I don't really think this album gets the love it deserves. I don't really hear many people talking... I don't really think this album gets the love it really deserves from a lot of people. I think not many people gave this one a chance. I think because Dave, you know, they were just like, oh well, Dave Williams has passed away. We're giving up on Drowning Pool, which I think it's amazing that Drowning Pool decided to carry on the name, because that means, because if they would have changed their name, no one would be singing those Dave songs. You know, they'd just be throwing them out basically. And I think that's awesome, you know, they're going to carry on Dave's legacy by singing those songs, you know. Body, I mean, imagine having a band with the Drowning Pool's the second lineup or the third lineup or the fourth lineup, but without singing those Dave songs. I mean, that's a huge loss. So I will always respect Drowning Pool for carrying on in Dave's memory. That's awesome, you know. But yeah, I think this album's stronger than Sinner. That's just my opinion. You can disagree with that. Don't go in the comments and be like, you're not a true Drowning Pool fan. Oh, you know. So that's just my opinion. All right, now this album has really grown on me since I first listened to it, and I'm talking about Full Circle, which, you know, now I think about it, Drowning Pool's album covers are they're okay, I guess, but I don't know what I'm looking at in that album cover. I don't know what I'm looking at. But hold on a second. Alright, never mind. But yeah, I don't know what I'm looking at in this album cover. Like, what is this? Like a woman, like, with a broken back on the ground? I don't know what I'm looking at. But this is Full Circle, third album they made. And this is their first release with Ryan McCombs of Soil, which I will have a Soil discography ranking at some point, but probably when they do that second, like, cover albums, because they did say they're going to do cover album things, I think. At least I think that's what they were going for when they made that post, because they said they were going to do, like, 2 releases in 2022. I think the second part got delayed, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So I'll do that whenever they release that cover thing, and if it's been like the whole year of 2023, no news about it, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the ranking, and then I'll just do a new one when they decide to release it. Or they might even be doing that, and I'm just wrong about the whole thing, but please let me know if you know. So, you've got Full Circle. This album's grown on me a lot. When I first listened to it, I wasn't too crazy about it, but, you know, your taste changes as time goes on, and I've gotten more into, like, alt metal and, like, post-grunge, you know, that kind of thing. When I listened to Drowning Pool at first, I was, like, a whole, like, new metal. That's all I liked was new metal. You know, I liked older stuff, too, but I mostly liked new metal. So I didn't really like this album that much when I first listened to it. But, and you know, going back to it now, I love this album. I think it's one of their strongest. And it's, as you can see, it placed number 2, so it is one of their strongest in my opinion. You've got Ryan McCombs, which I think is an amazing vocalist after Dave. I think Dave slightly does the Dave songs, well, obviously Dave's going to do the Dave songs, like, phenomenally well. I think Ryan McCombs does a great job with the Dave songs, but his voice obviously doesn't go as high as Dave, which obviously, you know, Dave's the superior singer. But Ryan McCombs is a great singer too. I'm not discounting Ryan at all. He's a really good singer. But my thing with Ryan and singing the Dave songs is he always does like he can't really do like the shrieking thing that Dave could do, so he stays in like that growly deep voice that the other singers do too. I don't really think any of them can like shriek like. Well, obviously, none of them can shriek like Dave could, but you know, Ryan McCombs, great vocalist. He's not really one of my top 10 favorite vocalists of all time, but he'd probably make like the top 30, maybe. Yeah, he'd probably make my top 30 actually, because he is a really good vocalist and he can sing melodically. You know, he's just got a different vocal style than Dave does, which that's cool. Can't copy Dave. I don't really know of anyone who can really copy Dave. I don't think that's possible. I mean, you kind of can like imitate him a little bit, but you can't copy him 1-to-1. That's for sure. Which I don't think any of the singers are trying to do that when they sing Dave songs. You know, they sing the Dave songs like they're supposed to, like the way that Dave would sing them, but they add like their own like little flair to it, which I think that's really cool. But Ryan McCombs and this album right here, you can just see that they're experimenting with like slow songs, fast songs, all these kind of different songs, like them, or like a build-up song, you know, all these different things, and I think that works very well. The only song on this album that just kind of had me going like, that's an okay song was Rebel Yo, which is a cover of the Billy Idol song, and yeah, Ryan McCombs, I'm just finding out, the dude's a great singer, don't get me wrong, but man, the cover songs he does are just, yeah, that ain't it. That ain't it. It's not very good if you ask me. All the cover songs of Ryan McCombs, in my opinion, they just, his vocal style. He's like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude whatsoever when I say this. But the dude's got like this country, like southern accent whenever he sings. So whenever he sings like a cover song, you could just get like all these country metal vibes. I'm not trying to be rude to Ryan. Like I said, great vocalist. But when he sings those songs, I cannot take them seriously because he just sounds like this country metal dude getting on there. You know, he has like this southern accent, like metal voice, and it just, I cannot take the cover songs seriously. I really think they should just, when he does cover songs, I think they should just pick songs that fit his vocal style. Like, I think Lynyrd Skynyrd would fit Ryan's vocal style perfectly. Or Metallica, some of the Metallica songs. Or, I don't know, probably not Megadeth, but Metallica would definitely work with his vocal style. I think maybe a different Motorhead song might work. And maybe, I'm trying to think of another band. Molly Crew might work with Ryan, maybe. Let's see, let me think. I'm trying to think of another band. Maybe, I don't know, I don't think Black Sabbath would fit, but, maybe Kiss? I know, okay, if anyone from Soil is listening, I think that Ryan's vocal style would be perfect for any song off Carnival of Souls by Kiss. Maybe that's just like a bad take, I'm not sure, but I would actually like to hear what that sounds like, because that actually sounds like it would be like really cool. So I think that'd be really cool. I'd like to hear that. But anyways, back to this album. Full circle, great album. You got the title track, Enemy Shame, one of my favorite Drowning Pool songs. Reborn, Reason I'm Alive, Soldiers, Paralyzed, Upside Down, 37 Stitches. You know, I've played that song a little too much, but I like it still. No More, Love, X2, which I forgot. I think that was... No, that's not the pun. The pun is in Duet, which is a pun on Duet. When I discovered that, I just, like, groaned in agony whenever I was like, Duet. Like, that's like dad joke humor, and I was just like, oh no. But, yeah, I was like yelling in agony or screaming in agony. But I'm just joking about that. It didn't emotionally damage me or like mentally hurt me. I'm fine. But yeah, I mean, great album. I know I'm saying that about all of them, but it's just really hard for me to describe how these albums sound. You just kind of have to listen to them for yourself. And they do kind of like, I wouldn't say they're generic sounding, but they do kind of have like the same like vibe going on mostly. So it's kind of hard for me to be like trying to pick them apart like piece by piece, saying, oh, there's this element on that song, or there's this element on that song, or this song sounds like this, or this song sounds like that, because they all kind of like, they have a Drowning Pool like flair to them, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really change, you know? They got that like style and they stick with it. So it doesn't really change from album to album. It does, but it also doesn't, if that makes sense. Like, they take the Drowning Pool thing, but they just kind of like add stuff to it. And it's really hard to describe what they're adding to like every single song, you know? Because there's some songs that have certain elements that other ones don't, and you just gotta listen to it for yourself. You want like a more in-depth analysis of like every single song, because I can't even do the song justice by trying to like examine it and just be like, now let's see what this song has got going on here. But anyways, I think we should move on to my number one, which is the self-titled. This one wasn't always my favorite, but as I've like re-listened to the catalog over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, this one just, I think from top to bottom, this is Drowning Pool's strongest album in my opinion. And that's probably because I like Ryan McComb's vocal style a lot, but yeah. Strongest. This is the best Drowning Pool album, if you ask me. This is my opinion only. This is not like a definitive ranking of Drowning Pool, okay? Just my list. So if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. But don't just go in the comments and be like, you're wrong. Because come on now, that's not a discussion. You know, you can disagree with my list, you can agree with my list. I don't think anyone's gonna have the same list. I know that for a fact. But just tell me what your list is. Don't just be like, you're wrong, or, you know, or like, oh, you're dumb, you don't know anything. Like, bruh, it's just my opinion. You know, let's just have some discussion here. You can disagree, but let's make it a discussion. Don't just be like, you're wrong, you're stupid. Yeah, go jump in a hole and bury yourself in dirt. Like, come on, that's not very nice. But anyways, I'm getting really sidetracked, I apologize. Drowning Pool, the self-titled album. Here we go. So, I love every single track off this album. Let the Sin Begin, Feel Like I Do, Turn So Cold, Regret, Over My Head, All About Me, More Than Worthless, Children of the Gun, Alcohol Blind, Horns Up, King Zero, all phenomenal tracks. Love them all. I don't think there's a bad one in there. No filler. Really great album, top to bottom. And I think if you just compare the track listing top to bottom, that's the strongest one in my opinion. And not Drowning Pool, sorry, Ryan's vocal style on this album, he improved, I think, from Full Circle to this one, because as good as Full Circle was, I just think here he's got like, he's doing the shrieking that Dave was, but he's going like deeper with the shrieks. He's not going high pitched. He's going like deeper and growlier. Is that even a word? But he's going like very growly and deep and like monotone with his yelling and his shrieking. And that fits really well with Drowning Pool. I like that. So that's going to be my number one pick. And yeah, that's basically my Drowning Pool ranking. I know there's probably some of you watching like that took like a whole year. Dude gets so easily sidetracked, and I know there's some of you out there probably like, you know, I like this guy. I like this dude. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. I don't want to take too much of your time away. I know some of you are like, no, don't go. But yeah, that's how I rate the Drowning Pool albums. I'll quickly. Actually, do I even need a recap? I think now, actually no, I probably don't need a recap, because YouTube's got like this new chapter thing where they just automatically do it. Sometimes they get the album names wrong or whatever. I don't really like that because it spoils the video, but yeah, I mean, if it gets put on this video, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, there we go, guys. That's my Drowning Pool ranking. Best to worst, no, it's worst to best, sorry, not best to worst to best of the Drowning Pool discography. So thank you for watching. Main discography ranking will be out soon. I'll see you dudes later, and take care, stay safe,